Forge from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land, we pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. We live honestly the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessings flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat.
You may quietly take your seats, please.
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
पावितस्थले गलेवलम्ब्य लम्बिताम्बुजङ्गतुङ्गमालिकाम् शिवं 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 शिवम् जटाकटाः सम्भ्रमभ्रमन्निलिम्पनिर्झरि धगद्धगद्धगज्ज्वलल्ललाटपट्टपावके किशोरचन्द्रशेखरे रतिप्रतिक्षणं मम धराधरेन्द्रनन्दिनी विलासबन्धुबन्धुर कृपाकटाक्षधोरणी निरुद्ध दुर्धरापरी जटाभुजङ्ग पिङ्गलस्फुरत्प्रणामनि प्रभा मदाङ्ग सिन्धुरस्फुरत् वगुत्तरीय मेदुरे ॐ नमः शिवाय सदा शिवं भजाम्यहं सदा शिवं भजाम्यहम् ॐ नमः शिवाय सहस्रलोचन प्रभृत्य शेषलेखशेखर प्रसून धूलिधोरणि विधूसराङ्घ्रिपीतभो
भुजङ्गराजमालया निबद्ध जात चूटक श्रियै चिराय जायतां चतुर्बन्धुशेखर
धनञ्जयाहुतीकृत प्रचण्ड पंचसायके धराधरेन्द्र नन्दिनी कुचाग्र चित्रपत्रक प्रकल्पनैक शिल्पिनी त्रिलोचने रतिर्मम नवीन मेघमण्डले निरुद्ध दुर्धरस्फुरत् नलिम्प निर्झरीधरस्तनोतु कृत्तिसिन्धुर
कलानिधान बन्धुरश्रियं जगद्गुरन्धर
प्रफुल्लनीलपङ्कज प्रपञ्चकालिम प्रभाविलम्बि कण्ठकन्दली रुचिप्रबन्धकन्धरम्
स्मरच्छिदं पुरच्छिदं भवच्छिदं मकच्छिदं
गजच्छिदान्तकच्छिदं तमन्तकच्छिदं भजे अगर्व सर्वमङ्गला कलाकदम्बमञ्जरी
रसप्रवाह माधुरी विजृम्भणा मधुव्रतं
स्मरान्तकं पुरान्तकं भवान्तकं मखान्तकं
गजान्तकान्तकान्तकं तमन्तकान्तकं भजे
जयध्वरि प्रगद्भमभ्रमज्जुसङ्गमश्वस धिमिद्धिमिद्धिमिद्वनन् मृदङ्गतुङ्गमङ्गल ध्वनिक्रम प्रवर्तित प्रचण्ड ताण्डव शिव मौक्तिकस्रजोः
गरिष्ठरत्नलोष्ठयो सुहृद्विपक्षपक्षयो
तृष्णारविन्दचक्षुषो प्रजामहि महेन्द्र समं प्रवर्तयन् मनः सदाशिवं भजाम्यहम् खजानीं निकुञ्जकोतरे वसन्
विमुक्तदुर्मती सदा शिरस्तम् अञ्जलिं वहन्
विमुक्तलोललोचनोललालभाग्नलग्नक शिवेति मन्त्रमुच्चरं कदा सुखी भवाम्यहम् इमं हि नित्यमेव मुक्तमुत्तमोत्तमं स्तवम्
स्मरन् ब्रुवन्नरो विशुद्धमेति सन्ततम्
हरे गुरोषु भक्तिमाशु याति नान्यथा गतिं विमोहनं हि देहिनां सुशङ्करस्य चिन्तनम् विमोहनं हि देहिनां सुशङ्करस्य चिन्तनम् विमोहनं हि देहिनां सुशङ्करस्य चिन्तनम्
आर्यपुत्राः ऋषिपुत्राः माननीयाः सभामन्त्रिणः सर्वान् हिन्दूजनान् नमामि प्रणमामि. Hari Om to all Hindus and honored and respected inhabitants of this land, our noble sons of the soil, our sons of the rishis. I offer my salutations and my pranams.
अस्माकं एकादश वर्ष प्रतिपद संसदि प्रत्याभवतां स्वागतं करोमि. It is with great honor and pleasure I welcome you to our 11th Varsh Pratipada Sansad and extend hearty greetings of this Hindu New Year to all by saying Sukhado Navavarsho Bhavatu. May this new year bring joy.
12 years ago, at this very juncture of ushering in Varsha Pratipada, the Hindu New Year, inspiration heralded many of us to contemplate and mark the beginning of a new era for our nation, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as a new beginning for our Hindu community. The time came for a reinvigoration of Hindu Dharma. Hindu Dharma is founded on the subtle, simple, and yet profound insights of the rishis, documented and recorded in our Shastras. They have laid out for us a foundation which is unparalleled in the history world. They have carved out for us steps and presented to us with the requisite tools and matchless quality so that we are the ambassadors of Sanatana Dharma. Keeping this in mind, Varsha Pratipada Sansad serves to bring to the fore awareness of the Hindu calendar and to present an opportunity for us, firstly, to strengthen our resolve to articulate clearly a healthy vision of ourselves, to express ourselves in a sober voice, to explore the best in our Hindu heritage, to be respectful to our national diversity, and most importantly, to give of ourselves in fulfillment of our yagnic traditions for the purpose of Loka Sangraha, the welfare of all. On this 12th year, we will reflect on an excerpt of the shloka taken from shloka number 3 of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA. Arise, Arjuna, you brave warrior. needed at a time when a civilization has to throw off its impediments and rise from its slumber. From Hindus, it is relevant, and the moment is today. Just as Arjuna was awoken on the great battlefield, let us unite to imbibe the great inspiration and awaken across the diaspora to handle the challenges surrounding us within and without.
To commence with today's programs, we will start with Savadhan. Sanatan Dharma is beset at all levels, whether it be in personal and interpersonal interactions, and it is standing at a critical crossroad. We ourselves are the result of our own actions. The Sansad this morning is alerting our Samaj as well as recording the notable issues that have emerged internationally at an alarming rate within the past year. We have expanded our reach of participation for the first time in the Sansad to include regional and international persons of the Hindu diaspora. As such, to present this year's Savadhan is Professor Anil Suklal of South Africa, who holds a PhD in Hindu Studies as well as a PhD in Oriental Studies. He is currently with the Department of International Relations and Corporations, who has been deeply associated with the Hindu community and Hindu activities in South Africa. Professor Suklal will speak to us via a virtual presentation.
Namaste to all of my sisters and brothers in Trinidad and Tobago. Let me congratulate you on the occasion of the annual Varsha Pratipada Sansad, and thank you for inviting me to be part of this auspicious occasion and to include South Africa into your program. This is an important occasion, and also my gratitude asking for me to share some views on challenges facing the Hindu community during the present time. I will basically touch on three areas that I believe we need to apply our minds collectively to, and I will raise this one after the other. Thank you. The first issue I'd like to raise is the rise in attacks against Sanatana Dharma, not only in Bharat, but internationally as well, including the recent attacks we saw in Bangladesh against the Hindu community, the attacks in India itself during Ram Navami and Hanuman Jayanti, and in places like the USA and other parts of the world. This is a worrying tendency, but it is also connected to the rise of India as a global power, and especially Sri Modi ji and the primacy of place given to Hindu Dharma in Bharat and the global recognition this is getting. This naturally comes with its own challenges. Those that are attacking the Hindu Dharma are doing so out of fear to see the resurgence in Hindu Dharma, and therefore we find these repeated attacks against Sanatana Dharma. We have to stand up and fight these attacks. Hindu Dharma is the only ancient religion with an unbroken history. It is a powerful force, it is a powerful religion, and it has a history of being a powerful force and a powerful religion. And we have to draw on this ancient history and fight. The second issue I'd like to raise is the emergence of new technologies under the Fourth Industrial Revolution and the use of social platforms in terms of denigrating and ridiculing the Sanatana Dharma. The social platforms, new technologies, can be a powerful force for global good, but it can also be a powerful force being used for evil purposes in the hands of those that are opposed to the rise of Hindu Dharma. So we have to use these social platforms, and we have to create a combined force and put our resources together, create our own platforms to defend Hinduism and also to project in a very powerful way the messages of Sanatana Dharma, and we collectively should look at creating such a platform as soon as possible, not only as a defensive platform, but an offensive platform. And I think in so doing, we will mitigate these negative attacks and also send a clear message to our detractors on the international front that we are a powerful force and we will fight these unjust attacks on Hindu Dharma. The third issue I want to raise is the issue of our unity, or should I say disunity. United, we as members of the Sanatana Dharma are a powerful force. But disunited and a fractious community like we find ourselves currently in, we become a weakened force and our detractors take advantage of the divisions within us. We are sometimes our worst enemies. And I think this initiative started by Trinidad and Tobago must be applauded. We can use this platform to forge a sense of unity by sharing our experiences in our local communities, in our own countries, and create a global platform where we can together join forces in strengthening the propagation of Hindu Dharma and investing especially in our youth. The future of Hindu Dharma lies in the hand of our youth, and we all have a responsibility to not only nurture but also to mentor the young in our community, both women and men. These are the future leaders of Hindu Dharma. They will carry the Hindu faith into the new global era as a powerful force for global good. And this is where we need to invest our energy. Namaste. Namaste.
Mantra of the Year 2004 is the last of the Hindu Prachar Kendra's 20-year collection of inspirational songs. It is based on Bhagavan Shri Krishna's rousing call to Arjuna in chapter 2, verse 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA. Rise up and cast off your weakness. Mantras of the Year are unique compositions of Sri Raviji that are based on different Shastric verses and dharmic quotes. They are interpreted and composed into English songs that inform and offer guidance to the community. They celebrate dharmic heritage and they nurture confidence in Hindu identity. Mantras of the Year were released annually by the Hindu Prachar Kendra from 1985 to 2004. We are very fortunate also to have with us Sri Rana Mohib Ji and Master Ajneesh Ji accompanying the Kendra Mandali with the Mantra of the Year 2004.
You can follow the copies on the screen.
TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA. Rise up, Arjuna. 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 Ekoham dvitiyo nasti, and rishis revealed Tattvamasi. In all beings they could the Atma see, and knew the world as family. Their poets sang of Dharma's goal, and heroes who could win their own soul. And rishis laid the Ram Raj plan as Jagat Guru and Jagat Janani Khan. But Rama, you left for the golden deer. Then Sita crossed Lakshman Rekha, and so we fall. We fall from the Singhasan and land up in Ashok Vatikan. So Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up, Arjuna. Rishi ki santan, how to understand? So long Arjuna in dejection. 1,000 years of slavery can bring down a civilization. This Hindu holocaust the world negates, but millions met the swords of hate. A pagan and kafir, a coolie fate. Look, thousands of broken mandirs wait. On and up to this date. Arjuna, how much more will take? On and up to this date. Arjuna, how much more will take? Barefooted Rama, that barefooted Rama who crushed Ravan, is in me, in you, in everyone. So Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up, Arjuna. What to talk of what they do we? Shame on us for what we do we. How could any with an Atman be lesser by birth in the family? Carry shame of this story, Ekalavya ki kahani. Yet we're passing down history, Ekalatika on our progeny. We must cleanse each and every stain that goes against the dharmic grain. We must cleanse each and every stain that goes against the dharmic grain. Fear the shame, what might look just like rain, tomorrow could be a hurricane. So, Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up, Arjuna. Mahabharat is the eternal war. Arjuna is you and me for sure. Kurukshetra is the stand we take and stake all for dharma's sake. No matter what went wrong yesterday, we have to make it right today. The time comes when we can no more stall. The time has come to rise from the fall. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna commands Arjuna. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna commands Arjuna. Tyaktotishta, Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up, Arjuna. Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up, stand up, Arjuna. Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up with character. Tyaktotishta Parantapa, rise up, Arjuna. Rise up, Arjuna. Rise up, Arjuna. Sanatana Dharma ki Jai.
Shreya Patra Suchi gives us an invaluable opportunity as a body of Hindu voices to recognize the substantial and meritorious contributions of dharmic Hindus across the world. There are those who have risen up to the call of these unprecedented and challenging times and are, even now, striding forth to sustain and uplift the society through their work. Another key facet of our program is Shraddhanjali. Shraddhanjali gives us, as Hindus, the important honor of calling into our memory, in harmony with the spirit of celebration, those who have now joined the Pitris, our ancestors. It is our sacred duty to remember and respect those who have served as pillars of Dharma and uplifted society by performance of their duties in life, so that we now have memories for the future generations to uphold. Dr. Vedavid Manik of the Vishwanath Hindu Social and Cultural Organization will now have the honor of recognizing the incomparable and paramount service and achievements of Sevaks who have made a noteworthy impression on our nation and internationally, by presenting the Shreya Patra 2022 and Shraddhanjali on behalf of the Sansad.
Sitaram. It's my humble privilege to be presenting our Shreya Patra Awards this morning. I begin with Dr. Vishi Bihari. Dr. Vishi Bihari is a medical board certified physician for the last 11 years with experience in family and emergency medicine, palliative care, pediatric and plastic surgery, and neurosurgery. He is extremely personable and able to communicate effectively with patients and colleagues. He started his private practice, Tejasvi Medical Services, in 2013 and has hosted numerous free medical clinics and outreach care events from this institution, and is the co-host of the medical TV show Arog, Your Health, Your Wealth. He has extensive experience in many volunteer and charitable organizations for the past 18 years. Dr. Vishi Bihari is the current Vice President of Sewa International TT and the immediate past President of the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Association. He is affiliated with the University of the West Indies Alumni Association, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter, the University of the West Indies Medical Alumni, Rotaract Club of Felicity Charleville, and the Rotary Club of Felicity Charleville. Dr. Bihari's vast network and wealth of experience has brought about many synergies. He was able to successfully plan and execute the first and the largest mass vaccination site in the country during the ongoing pandemic. As the medical director of the NCIC Nagar mass vaccination site, he coordinated over 86,400 administration of vaccines safely, adopting the highest standards and without major incident. He brought together the Ministry of Health, multiple business chambers, the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Association, and Sewa International TT, which created a working blueprint for all other mass vaccination sites that followed. Due to his outstanding management of the first private mass vaccination site, and I must add here, a site that was driven mainly on the energy of volunteer service, Dr. Bihari was entrusted by the Ministry of Health with the responsibility to oversee all national private mass vaccination sites. Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2022 is indeed privileged to bestow the Shreya Patra Award to Sri Vishi Bihari on his exemplary dedication to duty during the COVID-19 pandemic. I invite Dr. Bihari to stage, and I invite Sri Timalji to present him with our Shreya Patra Award. We invite you to please have 2 or 3 words with us, not just 2.
Namaste. Vedavidji, thank you very much for that inspirational introduction. I was unsure it was me for a moment, and perhaps I'm having some dementia as I age, but it certainly has inspired me to be a better me. It is difficult, extremely difficult, to respond to such an honor, knowing that it was about my duty for my community and my country. I'm grateful for the honor, but it really belongs not just to me, but to all the people who have toiled over the past 2 years, both in vaccinations, approximately 2,500 persons across the country, and on the front lines, approximately 3,000 persons saving lives. It also was a team effort, and thus this honor also belongs to the people that surrounded me and supported me in the execution of my duty. My wife and my family, even with our personal losses and challenges, they supported all the way. My Sewa family, whom I could not have done service without. Varunaji, Revanji, Anushkaji, Mesh and Robin, who's also here with us. Dr. Alicia, Dr. Vedavidji, Dr. Reshma Maraj, Dr. Reshma Ramsaran, and many others. And also my medical association family. I did both vaccinations and frontline work because I saw it as my duty to assist in ending the pandemic as a doctor and as a person. I learned a lot. I met many other amazing people who were also focused on the fight. And I'm pleased that our country is in a better place now compared to before. But we still have to be careful. And we have to be careful and take care of each other going forward. The virus is still around. We can't totally let down our guard yet. This pandemic has impacted the mental health of many in the population, and thus I implore us all to remember to be kind to each other. Dhanyavad, Hari Om.
Our next presentation will utilize the blessings of technology as we bestow our second Shreya Patra Award to Professor Bhugwan Singh, who is in South Africa. So this will be a virtual presentation. Professor Bhugwan Singh is a 4th generation Rimitiya, a term that we are familiar with in Trinidad as a Jahaji. Beginning 1876 with roots in erstwhile Union Provinces, British India, Pratapgarh and Bhasti in his paternal roots, and Bihar and Ghazipur in his maternal roots. He undertook all studies and specialist training in South Africa, as he was not allowed to travel out of South Africa to pursue higher studies or accept scholarships offered. This was a sequel to a brief imprisonment during his undergraduate studies, a legacy of active participation in progressive student movements from 1971. Professor Bhugwan Singh completed his BSc in 1972 and attained a fellowship in surgery from the College of Medicine, South Africa in 1985, being only the second Jahaji to attain this degree from this college. He received his doctorate in surgery in 2002, being the first Indian origin surgeon to attain this. He was also the first Indian awardee from Africa to be appointed to a professor in 2015, and then head of the Department of Surgery, South Africa and Africa in 2021. Until his retirement in 2021, he was Chief Specialist Surgeon and Professor and Head of the Department of Surgery at the Nelson R. Mandela School of Medicine, King Edward VIII Hospital, University of KwaZulu-Natal. Professor has 135 peer-reviewed articles in peer-reviewed journals, 9 book chapters, 3 books and monographs published, and has made innumerable publications and presentations of various aspects of Hindu history and challenges consistently since early 2000s. He is a member of several professional societies and is active in community organizations since 1978, including the Durban Central FA and Cherians Football Club, being involved at all levels from player to administrator. The Ramakrishna Mission of South Africa, doing medical outreach camps since the 1990s, and the Hindu Association of South Africa, Hindasa, an executive member since inception. He has been a contributor and presenter on Hindu platforms addressing aspects of Gramatiya history and challenges. Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2022 is indeed privileged to bestow the Shreya Patra Award to Sri Bhagwan Singh. I direct your attention to the screen where we'll get a small message from him.
Thank you for this opportunity to make some comments on redefining the Gramatiya Hindu identity in South Africa. Henry Pollock, a associate of Gandhi, remarked that the Gramatiyas were the heroes of the empire. Gramatiyas then made up 90% of all Gramatiyas were of Hindu origin, and were arguably the most victimized in the empire. We suffered cultural and religious alienation, and underappreciated is the fact that we were conflated as Gramatiyas with more privileged merchant class Indians, both Gujarati Muslims and Hindus, who had the benefit of material advantages, and also British passport, which afforded greater mobility. At the time of the sanctions against South Africa, it was largely the Gramatiya Hindu that suffered more than any other Indian grouping in South Africa. Note that the Indians make up less than 3% of the South African Indian population, and if you compare this with Guyana, Fiji, or Mauritius, where Indians make up to 70% of the population.
Thank you very much. And while it has been...
Thank you for this opportunity to make some comments.
Thank you very much. And while it has been a most humble privilege to honor the accomplishments of our persons, it is also a sobering situation that I present Shraddhanjali. The Varsha Pratipada Sansad takes this time to recognize all of those who would have passed during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. This illness has taken the lives of many productive, positive influencers and dedicated persons in our society. It has also deprived many of our families of the opportunity to perform the last rites for their loved ones. We especially recognize the numerous frontline personnel that are not with us today, who would have passed while protecting those of us who have survived. And while there are many names that we can mention, there is one name that must be mentioned, and this Sansad specially recognizes the tremendous influence of Lata Mangeshkar on the Indian population, the global Indian diaspora, and most world citizens. In this generation, her voice is omnipresent. It is amongst the first voices many persons in my generation can remember from a childhood age, because often when you wake up in the morning, your parents are playing the radio, and that's the most common voice that you would hear then. And for a long time afterwards, that voice will continue to remain with us. Lataji had recorded songs in over 36 Indian languages and a few in foreign languages as well, including English, Russian, Dutch, Nepali, and Swahili. The Sansad recognizes all of those who have made contributions and unfortunately are no longer here with us. Thank you.
Over the years, the Varsha Pratipada Sansad has made indelible marks in our society and continues to provide a space for critical Hindu thinking and sharing. The Sansad has allowed room for respectful debate within the Hindu community that sees members who meet disagreement not with contempt, but with the understanding that everyone is working towards a unified goal. This allows healthy discussion to fuel the flames of our main purpose, which is to build and nurture an enriched Hindu community. The Varsha Pratipada Senate Sabha has hosted yearly platforms focusing on the VPS topic of the year. Brahmacharini Akalkaji, former Sabhapati, will now share an insight on the fundamental activities of the Sansad over the years via a video presentation.
Namaskaram and Hari Om. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on the Varsha Pratipada Sansad Senate. My name is Akalka, and I was fortunate to serve as Sabhapati following Shri Arvind Singh, who served in this capacity for the first 2 years beginning in 2017. The Varsha Pratipada Sansad, Parliament of the Hindu New Year, is a space in which views on current topics facing the nation and the world at large is informed by Hindu Dharma, led by our Marg Darshak, Swami PrakashanandaJi, as well as a committee of Hindu organizations. The Senate is a grassroots forum in which the voices of community members and the public is brought to bear on these same topics prior to the parliamentary program and informing that same program. Senators are nominated based on their experience and expertise with the topic under discussion. They are chosen amongst parents, professionals, pundits, scholars, even Nobel laureates. They are all asked to bring their expertise to bear on this topic. They are workers serving the community at large. 3 to 4 senators are chosen, nominated, and once they agree, they are briefed on the topic and prepare presentations. The Senate then has the senators present their topics to a forum of the public. The public are then invited to ask questions and have a dialogue about whatever has been presented. This is chaired by the Sabhapati, who guides the discussion, summarizes, as well as navigates the Q&A session. Through this presentation and questions, the heart of the topic, whether it be the Hindu home, samskaras, ecology, or what to do after retirement, having passion for service, this is discussed and unfolded. The findings are then used to inform the VPS program at large and the guidance of our Marg Darshak. In 2021, this was expanded to also include the youth in a special youth senate. This gives an opportunity for young people who are full of knowledge and enthusiasm to bring their knowledge to bear on these same topics. They are uniquely placed by both dharma as well as their karma to be the ones who are facing these issues coming into the future. The Senate is a vital and dynamic space which helps to forge this connection between the philosophical tenets of dharma and the living experience of our community. The aim of the VPS is to foster that connection and to invigorate it in the nation at large. And the Senate plays a very vital role in informing the bedrock of this VPS program through the outcome of the Senate. We are very fortunate to have the Senate as this forum and vehicle for this expertise of our grassroots community. Thank you, and Hari Om.
Having seen the Kurus on the battlefield, Arjuna's mind had become overwhelmed with pity and with sorrow. He was not the master of the situation at that time. Arjuna, in his present neurotic condition, had become a slave to the outer challenges. He had cast off his bow and slumped into a state of psychological and physical melancholy and paralysis. Bhagavan Shri Krishna deliberately lashes out at the anxiety state neurosis in Arjuna with the intention and appeal for Arjuna to get up and fight. This scene this morning will be depicted in Odyssey style by Vandana Kangal and Keshari Prag of the Kala Mandir. Their guru, Sri Sandra Sukhdevji, has choreographed this piece, and they will be ably be accompanied by live vocals from Pandit Bisramji and Srimati Siromani Narayan Singh Ji.
Vasudevam sutam devam kamsachanurmardhanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. भीष्म द्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् समवेतान् कुरुनिति। कृष्ण चरण तज ध्याऊं कहाँ मैं
वो तो चारों धाम। श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम। अर्जुन उवाच दृष्ट्वेमं स्वजनं कृष्ण युयुत्सुं समुपस्थितं सीदन्ति मम गात्राणि मुखं च परिशुष्यति ये वेपतुश्च शरीरे मे रोमहर्षश्च जायते गाण्डीवं शंसते हस्तात् त्यक्त्वैव परिदह्यते न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः। संजय उवाच एवमुक्त्वार्जुन संख्ये रथोपस्थ उपाविशत् विसृज्य सशरं चापं शोकसंविघ्नमानसः। कृष्ण चरण तजी ध्याऊं कहाँ मैं, वो तो चारों धाम। श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम। श्री भगवानुवाच कुतस्त्वाकश्मलमिदं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन। क्लैव्यं मास्मगमपार्थ नैतत्त्वयुपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्त्वोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। कृष्ण चरण तजी ध्याऊं कहाँ मैं, वो तो चारों धाम। श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम। कार्पण्यदोषो पहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसमूढचेताः। यच्छ्रेयस्यानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्। कृष्ण चरण तजी ध्याऊं कहाँ मैं, वो तो चारों धाम। श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, श्री कृष्ण शरणं मम, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. बोलिए श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की।
The choice of the theme for this year, the 11th annual Varsha Pratipada Sansad, the Parliament of the Hindu New Year, has chosen its theme, TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA, Arise Arjuna, you brave warrior. At the beginning of the Battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna listened patiently to the mighty Pandava warrior Arjuna, as he put forward the many reasons why he should not engage in battle with the army of the Kauravas, as he stood transfixed in his chariot. Amongst the first words Lord Krishna spoke to Arjuna in response was the battle cry that cracked like a whip across the despondency and confusion of Arjuna. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA, arise, O Arjuna, you brave warrior. To address us on this year's theme is the voice of Varsha Pratipada Sansad and our Marg Darshak Pujya Swami PrakashanandaJi, a son of the soil of Trinidad and Tobago and spiritual head of the Chinmaya mission. The Sansad has accepted Pujya Swami PrakashanandaJi to be the voice of our reflections on issues that face us as Hindus, as a community, as a nation, and as global citizens. In 1997, Revered Swamiji initiated Chinmaya mission activities in Trinidad and Tobago, and thereafter began the long outstanding tradition of his satsangs, yajnas, and camps across Trinidad, the Caribbean, the United States of America, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Through his great dynamism, selfless disposition, humility, charisma, astute leadership style, unique presentation style, and his commitment and dedication to serving the noble Sanatan Dharma tradition, Swamiji established and continues to spearhead the Chinmaya mission of Trinidad and Tobago. Over the past 16 years, the Chinmaya mission has mushroomed into a unique beacon of learning, both in academic and spiritual realms, and it continues to add its richness to the diversity of our plural society. Pujya Swamiji has personally conducted hundreds of yajnas, spiritual camps, courses in Sanskrit and Vedic chanting, and established study groups for children and adults. In addition, there have been numerous charitable projects assisting needy communities and families. Under his astute guidance, the Chinmaya Ashram also runs schools under the name Chinmaya Vidyalaya, with centers in Magbean, Debe, Gasparillo, Barkpur, Pinal, Kunopia, and Felicity, all of which continue to add value to and positively impact the lives of thousands of our children and citizens, contributing to their spiritual, personal, and intellectual development. In recognition of the selfless community service rendered by Puja Swami PrakashanandaJi, the government of Trinidad and Tobago awarded him the Shakonia Gold Medal in the year 2012. It is indeed an honor to call on Puja Swamiji to deliver our Marg Darshak, our feature address on this year's theme. Let us all please stand as we welcome to the podium our Marg Darshak and spiritual head of the Chinmaya Mission, Trinidad and Tobago, Puja Swami Prakashananda.
Before Swamiji gives his speech, I'd like to all assume a prayerful position as we chant the Sangatan mantra. Om Sangatatvam Sangadadvam Samvomanansi Janatam Deva Bhagyayatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate Samano Mantra Samitis Samani Samanam Manasah Chittamesham Samanam Mantram Abhimantrayevaha Samanena vo havisha johomi Samani vakutihi Samana hridayani vaha Samanamastu mano Yathavassu sahasati Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now present you Swamiji. Very special thank you to our dear Rubyji for the introduction. Before I begin on the topic today, let me also bring to your attention something which you saw today but was not introduced, and that is, in this year 2022, we have, as you have seen, sought to include members of the diaspora across the world. It's a new initiative. And we hope that as we move along, we'll include more and more people from different countries, those who are former Girmitias and so on. So it is a very welcome initiative, and I'm sure all of you will attest to the new feat here. Okay. TYAKTVOTTIŠTHA PARANTAPA. The phrase which we have chosen from the Bhagavad Gita. The phrase comes from the second chapter. And it means, made up of two words, the first phrase, tyaktva, having cast off, and uttishta, rise up. It is what we call as imperative mode in Sanskrit. It's a command. It is not just, you may rise up if you feel like. It is not like that. It is, rise up. It is a command given by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. It is very powerful. For those who have studied Bhagavad Gita, you will know. It is usually associated with another phrase from the Upanishads, and that is Uttishta Jagrata. Rise up, Uttishta, and wake up. And the Upanishadic phrase seems to give to us a sense of urgency. The two phrases are connected. Uttishta, Jagrata, and Jagrata, Uttishta Jagrata. The first phrase, TYAKTVOTTIŠTA, of the Bhagavad Gita, is ending with Uttishta, and the next phrase is starting with Uttishta. Uttishta is like a word called Dehli Deepa in Sanskrit. It forms, it takes the middle position. It is Uttishta, and then wake up to something, and then here, Tyaktva, having renounced, and then stand up like that. The common word in the two Shrutis is Uttishta, arise. In the former, the instruction is to arise after doing something, namely casting off. And in the latter phrase, the instruction is to arise and then do something. Wake up from deep sleep and wake up to knowledge. In short, the instruction of the Shruti is to rise up from something and to rise up to something. In our Varsha Pratipada Sansad this year, we have chosen the former phrase from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Tyaktva, Uttishta, O Arjuna, O Parantapa. Needless to say that the two phrases are necessarily connected and or each imply the other. What then are we supposed to rise up from? Let us see this. The context in which Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives the instruction to Arjuna gives ample hints. Arjuna was a towering personality, not just any ordinary being, unparalleled in his time. The slayer of Bhishma. He fought even with Bhagavan Shiva in the past. He was the apple of the eye of Guru Dronacharya and addressed by Bhagavan Sri Krishna as his friend and his dear devotee. Ishtosi me, sakha bhaktosi me. Those type of words in Bhagavad Gita. But such a towering personality collapsed, crumbled, and fell. Though endowed with the physical prowess, capable of taking down the Artatayans on the battlefield, he became incapacitated physically, and that was due to a mental condition, not just any other thing. Bhagwan's program of rehabilitation is for Arjuna's mind, not for Arjuna's body. Further, it is not merely to lift Arjuna, rather it is to lift Arjuna out of the debilitated state of mind and to make him, and this is the important point, to make him an instrument to protect and to carry the torch of dharma. Bhagwan does not say that he comes to protect a mere individual. He comes to lift dharma when it is challenged. Therefore, he tells Arjuna, throw off your weakness and rise up, O Parantapa, O scorcher of the enemies. O Arjuna, make yourself the fit vessel to embody dharma and to give life to it in a human form. And what is this dharma that we speak about? Dharma is eternal and exists whether human beings exist or not. Whether we are there or not, dharma is always there. It is coexistent with the universe. It is adhered to strictly by the entire Prakriti or nature. However, when human beings are introduced into the equation of nature, we come endowed, as you know, with the freedom of choice. And that freedom of choice affords us the opportunity to choose the other side of dharma, which is called as adharma, and which is a seductively bewitching option, adharma. And in Kali Yuga, or as Ji calls in this COVID Yuga, the option which more and more human beings increasingly veer towards. Basking in adharma, we take down fellow human beings with us and also the whole entire ecological system, the flora and fauna, who are left helpless because they, the birds, the animals, the plants, the rivers, the forest, they have no freedom of choice. Arjuna was facing the embodiment of adharma, the Kauravas, on the battlefield. And his solution, Arjuna's solution, was to commit a further adharma by running away. Bhagavan tells him, Swadharmam avekshya navikampitum arhasi. O Arjuna, looking towards your dharma, it does not behove you to waver. Don't waver, my dear Arjuna. If you waver, swadharmam hitva, having dropped your dharma, papam avapsyasi, you will incur great pap, demerit. Perhaps the best translation for the word. Interestingly, it is not the first response by Bhagwan to Arjuna's state of mind. And this is a critical point in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagwan first gives Arjuna Atma Jnana, then reminds him about his duty to dharma. The initial portion of Bhagwan's Upadesh is on Atma Jnana. And way down later on, he tells him about his duty. This convinces me that an active protector of dharma must also possess a proper scriptural knowledge. Otherwise, we end up with a person protecting something to the death, something which he does not know anything about. That looks like, to me, blind faith and even has a fanatic ring to it. Ignorance and fanaticism are necessarily linked. Arjuna's problem was slightly different on the battlefield. He knew exactly what he was supposed to do. He knew what had to be done. But he was afraid because there was a personal stake involved. The people on the other side are my people, and this is where the personal stake came in. The people on the other side are my people. This act of giving precedence to a personal stake over dharma itself is itself the destruction of dharma. It is the option which is powerfully seductive and seemingly instinctive for human beings. Choosing the dharmic option therefore requires two very important things. One is to educate ourselves about what is dharma and what is adharma. And second, to cast off the selfishness associated with adharma and rise up to effectuate what is dharma. Now, Arjuna's problem is not restricted to him alone in his time and place. Just like the Kauravas had become a menace to dharma and all that is good, so also we have a world today in front of us that is inimical to dharma from every direction. It is inimical to dharma, what is good, what is proper, what is righteous, and all such things. While the Hindus are thinking about their duty to infuse dharma into the human psyche for the welfare of the world, this dharma, which is the only medicine to save the ailing world, the rest of humanity sees us as pagans, fit to be converted or killed even. But we should not waver. Numbers should not daunt us. The village usually has 1 or 2 doctors to administer medicine to many people. We should not waver, daunted by numbers. Make no mistake, the concerted effort to wipe out Sanatana Dharma is real. It is well thought out, planned, and heavily funded. The efforts are multi-pronged and come from 2 well-organized world religions. They employ every available resource to annihilate Sanatana Dharma, and their plans reach well into the future. The Sanatani should rise from his ignorance, because it is alarming that even big nations are also in alliance in this effort. This is the first place where Sri Krishna's exhortation becomes immensely relevant. TYAKTVOTTIŠTHA, O Sanatani, leave what you are doing. Take cognizance of the annihilator standing in your living room. He is already inside. He has taken possession of your mind already. and he is nearing your soul also. He needs to be exorcised. Hey Parantapa. This battered Hindu mind, this Hindu mind which has already been usurped by these powerful forces. The Sanatani mind has been subjected to centuries of battery, abuse, slavery, and defeat. It has all come from barbarous foreign invaders, both physical and mental. Just as powerful drug lords have drug mules carrying drugs, we have become the mules to carry the religious ideology of powerful religious ideologues from different parts of this world. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA. The first thing the Hindu has to do is to start thinking like a Hindu. This requires purging or exorcising the phantom of non-substantial, ephemeral ideas infused into our minds by invaders and oppressors. For most of us, we cannot distinguish the Hindu ideas from the foreign grafts which have been superimposed on our mind. Then how are we going to remove that which we don't know? This makes the work of the gurus and leaders even more critical in today's world. I will give some simple examples of how pervasive and commonplace, how natural and inconspicuous foreign thinking has become to us. I hope it will become obvious what we have to cast off and what we have to pick up. You will hear a Hindu, this is a very important thing, you will hear a Hindu ask such questions as, when and why did God create the world? This is how our minds have already been taken away. How the imposter is in our living room, already taken our mind and is ready to take our souls. You will hear a Hindu ask such questions as, when and why did God create this world? Creationism is a Judeo-Christian concept. The Vedic teaching is Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadishwara are all anadi, beginningless, never created, constantly going from a state of vyakta to avyakta, from manifest to unmanifest. But the Hindu will ask, when and why did God create the world? The Hindu is asking a Christian question to a Hindu guru. Cast off this intellectual tamas, O Sanatani, and rise up to the understanding that the Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadishwara, they are all eternal, beginningless and endless. Hindus are the only ones, Hindus are the only ones who say all religions are same. They all teach the same thing. My dear, not by any stroke of your wildest imagination does Hindu Dharma teach the same thing as the Semitic religions which you encounter in this world. Ye sarva brahma hai, tu hi brahma, main hu brahma, sarva brahma brahma hai. Where do other religions teach this? All this is Brahman. You are Brahman, I am Brahman, everything is Brahman. Hindu religion teaches the same thing as others. Never it can happen. We teach about karma and rebirth, oneness of Jiva and Ishvara, infinite number of avatars, infinite nama rupa of Ishvara, the necessary coexistence of the pairs of opposites, the beginninglessness of Jiva, Jagat and Jagadishwara, infinite lokas, worlds where there are other classes of beings and other than Manushya, human beings. We teach about the stages of life like Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. We teach about Jiva being an inseparable unit in the infinite tapestry of existence and can move phenomena by yajnas and by tapas. We teach about returning from Swarga after Punya karma has been exhausted. We teach about Mukti, merging with Brahman and coming out of the cycle of birth and death. We teach about a variety of paths, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga. The list goes on and on. We teach when Sanatana Dharma is at stake, that even Bhagwan is moved to take avatar to come here. If Bhagwan is moved when Sanatana Dharma is challenged, why should we not be moved? Uttishta, O Sanatani, Tell me, where are these things to be found in other religions other than in Sanatana Dharma? How do we say as a Hindu that Hinduism teaches the same thing as other religions? Sadly, the foreign graft has become so embedded in our minds that emanating from the most sacred of Hindu spaces, the mandirs, the singhasan, are Christian teachings, mannerisms, and language. We say, rest in peace. Hindus say, we say rest in peace. We say that the deceased has gone to rest with Lord Krishna. Both the statements are Christian grafts on our mind. And they have no regard to karma and reincarnation, which are central tenets of Hindu Dharma. The Hindu teaching is that one is reborn in this or some other world, and even if one goes to Swarga, Khine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti, when his Punya karma is exhausted in Swarga, again he comes back to this world or some similar world. Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh are not creator, sustainer, and destroyer. We have to wipe out these words from our vocabulary. Creator, sustain. Creator implies that we accept creationism. Rather, the more Hindu-specific terms would be manifester, sustainer, and dissolver, respectively. It is a very important topic because terminologies carry our metaphysics. And this metaphysics form the foundation of our worldview. Our worldview becomes supplanted merely by changing terminology. Just by the change of some terminology, our worldview becomes supplanted and we turn out to be a person of a different religion in a Hindu shell. See the power of Shabda. This is why we are including in our Sankalpa this year a resolution to cast out certain foreign words from our vocabulary and to replace them with the appropriate words. This is why you hear me saying, for instance, Hindu Dharma. And you will hear some more about this later on. The fact that Christian ideas are disseminated from the Singhasan shows that being ignorant of one's own cosmology, one's own metaphysics, and one's own epistemology, the Vakta has had a lateral shift in his thinking. The ignorance of his own dharma has left a void. That void is quickly filled by the overwhelming pressure of Christian ideas from the atmosphere. Foreign thinking is dangerously more insidious than we can ever imagine. Being in a Hindu shell and thinking like a Christian is like the proverbial wolf in sheep's clothing. The enemy lurks within the flock. For instance, we have been made to think, and let's give some examples and you'll see how insidious it is and we don't even know. Stealthily it is hidden in our minds, layers of our minds. We have been made to think that the university education is way superior than learning Ramayana. For years we were called illiterate because we didn't have an English education and could only read Ramayana. Our psyche has been made to think that the white man is not only superior, but he is always right. This is our conviction. He sets the standard for us. This has been bred into our minds. Somewhere in our undulating history, we shifted our reverence from the avatars and the rishis to an approbation of the elite conquerors. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA Parantapa. Drop this wrong conviction and rise to the teachings and the traditions of the rishis. But this can only happen. See, many times when we talk like this, it sounds like we are subscribing to the whole idea of we are the victims, and that is a position of the underdog, and we should not blame others for our state and all of that sort of thing. Well, Hinduism has Sanatana Dharma has a very good response to that, and the response is, we accept a duality. So you will have some of the blame going on this side and some of the blame going on that side. You cannot have the blame going only on one side. And so if I'm saying that we had barbaric invaders and all that, those barbaric invaders would not have succeeded if we ourselves don't carry some of the blame. This is the balanced view of Sanatana Dharma. This can only happen by an overwhelming tamas in our minds. When the invaders came, the tamas causes us to do this. When the invaders came, we had to cast into abeyance our pride in the teachings of the rishis and shroud the atrocities of the invaders in a blanket of ignorance and disobey our conscience in order to participate in the vices of elitist power of the invaders. Soon we came to substitute the rishi tradition with another tradition disguised as secular. Recently I read of a real account where a Hindu doctor was talking to a young Swayamsevak in London at a conference, and he asked the young Swayamsevak, where did you study and what are you doing? The young man said, well, right now I work for a major investment bank here in London, but I studied at Harvard. The Hindu doctor paid no attention to the name of the investment bank, but when he heard the word Harvard, his face lit up and he said, congratulations, my boy. And this is the sort of mental slavery that we have found ourselves in, because we have subscribed to the elitist thinking of the invaders, and they have set the standards and they have charted out the path by which our mind should go. To the clear thinking Swayamsevak, the Western education at Harvard was merely a means of making a living. To the inadvertently slavish Hindu doctor, going to Harvard was the pinnacle of success. And I mentioned this, and I mentioned that this mental grafting is insidious. How else would you explain why we have a lofty place in our minds, here now, in our local situation? We have a lofty place in our minds for convent, for presentation, for naps and so on, as opposed to Chinmay Vidyalaya, for instance. When it actually costs more to send your children to those so-called prestige schools. When in Chinmay Vidyalaya, you will get a better education and you will also get all the teachings of Sanatana Dharma. It literally costs more. I'll tell you how. We have at the Vidyalaya a fee, one fee that you pay. And we have called the places that give lessons, all the places that give lessons, and we have taken a note of how much they charge for lessons. So in all what are called prestige schools, everybody take lessons. Everybody has to take lessons because the syllabus is not finished in the school. And when you add the number of subjects and all of that for the lessons and the amount spent there, it way surpasses the one fee at Chinmay. Either we have succumbed to that prestige, elitist kind of thing, or our maths real bad. One out of the two. Yet other schools are portrayed as prestige schools. This prestige is a historical graft on the Hindu mind. In grafting, what we do, see, another example, and I have it written here, is the Lakshmi girls. Just recently, they got the highest number of scholarships, president medal, and still the Hindu has something in his mind about the other schools. In a grafting, what happens? We take a growing mango tree, cut off the top, and we graft onto it. This is not growing, the thing is alive. It has to be alive. And you graft onto it a branch of your desired mango. So what in the Hindu case now, we have a great value for education. Hindus have a great value for education. And on that value being the root, has been grafted the idea that what you call as education is not education. We will define for you what is education. And so that the foreign idea is grafted onto our mind like that. If we analyze well, we will see that the approbation of the elite conquerors involves a compromise. And this is why I told you it becomes insidious. And it happens without us knowing. We have to barter away our pride and dignity in our religion and either pick up the conqueror's religion or profess a secularism which more often than not works to the detriment of Hindu dharma. Furthermore, any compromise of Hindu dharma necessarily, and this is perhaps one of the most touching points when you study this whole topic, any compromise of Hindu dharma necessarily involves a betrayal of our rishis, our pitris, and our heritage. It is a kind of prostrating to the ancestors of and heritage of another while betraying your own ancestors and your own rishis. Therefore, TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA, cast off this betrayal and arise, O Sanatani. Tamas and the Hindu mind. This tamas, which is the personal responsibility of all of us now, which I hinted to previously. Quite apart from the onslaught of the invaders into Hindu space, is the debilitating effect of we ourselves harboring tamas in our mind. The Hindu appears passive and resigned, not because he has a deeper understanding born out of sattva, because one can also become very calm and cool and collected when there is an abundance of sattva. But sattva and tamas, they dangerously resemble each other. So the Hindu is passive and resigned not because of a deeper understanding born out of sattva, but due to the blanket of tamas upon the mind. It has to be cast off, and one has to rise to the challenge of inculcating rajas to stem decadence, and then sattva to take dharma forward. Bharat is, we heard just now Professor Andil telling about, Bharat is rising globally. All around Hindus, and in this rise, we are also seeing all around Hindus are being misrepresented in the media and so on, everywhere. Hindus need to rise out of this tamas and become vocal. You see, it is tamas which is keeping us from becoming vocal. We have to become vocal against this misrepresentation. I must say also that it is quite commendable that the Modi government is more and more becoming vocal about misrepresentation of Bharat. With the rise of Bharat globally, our work becomes even more in need now than before. The global village will more and more want to find out about Bharat and about Hindu dharma. Therefore, we have to take the challenge of articulating Hindu dharma for the world, because people will more and more want to find out about it. If we ourselves are given to tamas and we have not tapped the sattvic depths of the Hindu intellect to bring clear articulation to the world, we will be missing a wave. This is a critical point for us in the diaspora, because even the ones charged with the responsibility of disseminating Hindu Gyan are still suffering from the graft of Judo-Christian ideas. We have to rise from this tamasic slumber. Arise, O Sanatani. You have been sent to the Caribbean. You have a responsibility. Cast off your slumber and take up your responsibility. A fair bit of our tamas is also self-inflicted due to wrong interpretation of scriptures. For instance, no word from our scriptures have been more misinterpreted than the word ahimsa. Many a wrong belief have lodged itself in our mind by the misinterpretation of this word, and has made us submissive, over-tolerant, and passive to the point of lethargy. We have to cast off this tamas, this lethargy, to delve into this word, ahimsa, and understand the word properly. Remember, when we have cardiac disease and the doctor has to cut us open, he has to cut open our chest, it looks like ahimsa, because ordinarily cutting somebody's chest is not prescribed. But when it is for our good, the doctor has to cut, you see. But we have to think, otherwise we literally take words from scriptures and misunderstand them, and then that is done to our own detriment. Now, around the world, you will also notice that there is an unabating effort to annihilate, which I mentioned before, Sanatana Dharma. This is a multi-pronged, multi-dimensional effort which has the backing of world powers. A prime example is the fact that in big countries where the reins of power are accessed by anti-pagan religious leaders, these countries have deliberately constructed narratives that blame the so-called ills of Bharat on Hindu Dharma. First of all, the so-called ills of Bharat are ills in their eyes. And they make us feel that they are ills. The Hindu has to rise above this. Secondly, blaming poverty, for instance, in Bharat, on Hindu Dharma. You see, this is what world powers do. They'll blame, because of this Hindu Dharma, Indians are poor. Blaming poverty on Hindu Dharma is just like blaming school shooting in America on Christianity. It's because of Christianity they have all of this school shooting. That is absurd. Who will do that? But that is what they do to us. We have to rise intellectually to such absurd narratives that misrepresent Sanatana Dharma. This effort of marginalization of Hindu Dharma and stealthily grafting Christian ideas on our minds started way back with Macaulay in 1835. His intention was to create a cadre of modern Western educated Hindus who will themselves wrought the destruction from within, plant mantra within in the form of education, and watch the systematic denigration of Hindu Dharma by Hindus themselves. Either they will distance themselves from Hindu Dharma or abscond altogether. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA. See that the invaders have planted the seeds of betrayal and treachery in your mind. Lately we have been hearing about love jihad, halal economy, conquest by altering the demography by having more children. Every available means is utilized to save you, O Sanatani, even if it means destroying you. But your work is to protect the world by protecting Sanatana Dharma. It is your indispensable duty. Sanatana Dharma civilization is the only ancient civilization that endures, and it must be protected and nourished to fulfill its unique role of advancing a dharmic world. A dharmic world is based on the Vishwa Bandhutva concept. The world is one family. And Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha, constantly seeking the welfare of all beings in the world, with a reminder that the ecological system is also a living being. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA. Cast off tamas. Cast out the foreign grafts of ideas. Throw off betrayal to our rishis and rise up to your rightful and natural duty. Hey Sanatani, hey Parantapa. Hari Om. Thank you.
Jai Sri Ram!
Thank you, Pujya Swamiji. One of the great insignias of our noble Hindu tradition is one of taking firm, formal resolutions or sankalpas. It ensures that we remind ourselves constantly of our highest possibility, which filters and reflects in our thoughts, words, and deeds as individuals and as a nation. For our sankalpa today, we take the core ideas and important messages of this year's theme, TYAKTVOTTIŠTA PARANTAPA, Arise Arjuna, you brave warrior, into our hearts and into the national consciousness. We ask that if you also wish to invoke these precepts into your lives, having participated in this program, that you repeat with us these sankalpas as read by Geeta Vahini Ji, President of the Hindu Prachar Kendra, and Sri Sarvesh Maharaj Ji of the Hindu Students' Council of Trinidad and Tobago.
Namaskar. I will give the instructions for the Sankalpa. You would have received one of these. And inside, there are some rice grains and a piece of kush grass. And the Sankalpa will be read by Sarvesh Ji. I will repeat along with you. We will stand for the Sankalpa. I'll tell you when. Just take the instructions for now. You will take the rice grains and the kush grass in your hands. We'll put our hands like this towards the Devasthan, towards Bhagwan here. And if you are in agreement with everything that is written in the Sankalpa, all the rice grains and the kush grass will be collected in the thali and placed before Bhagwan Krishna. If for some reason there's something that you don't agree with and you do not wish to proceed with the Sankalpa or take it for whatever reason, please put back the grains and the kush grass in the envelope and all will be collected afterwards. The text for the Sankalpa will be on screen, so you'll be able to follow along. So Sarvesh Ji is leading us with the Sankalpa. Everyone please stand. Take out your rice grains and the kush grass and put your hands forward.
Jai Shri Ram. So just to reiterate, I will say this and you will repeat afterwards. I have broken it up into sectors, so it should be easy to follow. But remember one thing, speak from your heart and speak loudly for the world to hear. Repeat after me. Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat.
Ataha Varsha Pratipada Sankalpa
Pratipada Sankalpa
2022.
2022.
Whereas Varsha Pratipada Sansad
Varsha Pratipada Sansad
commemorates
the
Hindu New Year annually by inquiry into its civilizational heritages and making resolve on community matters. Whereas the world is currently being wrecked by human conflict, ecological disruption, and the rise of adharma. Whereas Hindus have been experiencing increasing onslaught on person and on faith. Whereas Sanatan Dharma civilization is the only ancient civilization that endures. It must be protected and nourished to fulfill its unique role of advancing
of advancing
a dharmic world
a dharmic world
based on
Vishwa Bandhutva.
The world is one family.
The world is one family.
And Sarva Bhuta Hite. Welfare of all beings. We take therefore together to accede to the call of Sri Krishna. TYAKTVOTTIŠTA Parantapa. Throw off your weakness. And arise. And whereas the adoption of foreign words to replace dharmic concepts lead to conversion and corruption of Hindu concepts and meaning. We take sacred sankalpa to use Sanatana Dharma or Hindu Dharma instead of Hinduism. Varsha Pratipada Sansad therefore requests that Sanatana communities commit to rise up strong for what we believe and for those things that are important to Dharma. Adya Shubha Punyatatau Mama Atmanaha Shubha Phala Praptavyam Shubha Sankalpam Aham Karishye Om Tat Sat.
Satya Sanatana Dharma ki Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
So Bego Darshak Jai. You may have your seats, and as instructed, if you are comfortable with the content of the sankalp, it will be collected in the thalis and it will be offered at the end of the program. Raviji.
Jai Shri Ram. Namaskar. On behalf of something wasn't done on our behalf, but I'll do it now. On behalf of our President, Gita Vahini-ji, welcome. It's not late. My job is to let you know that the next thing is RT. And for some time, this is a tradition that has been dying off. It's an irresponsible response of a community to kill its own traditions. Because the RT is something that is included where a community contributes to its own welfare. Because art is a very critical thing for community work. Art means wealth, it means money, it means priceless stills, valuable things that we can exchange for services and for country and building and all of that. Varsha Pratipada Sansad, the RT for today, will go towards Varsha Pratipada Sansad, which we have every year, and it costs quite a lot. As a matter of fact, in time, we might even have to be moving to host it in some other Caribbean countries from time to time, and perhaps South Africa, Mauritius, and these places. So we have to find ways to help develop. There is discussion by Puja Swamiji. It's something that has to be distributed throughout the whole world. as a voice coming from our small Trinidad and Tobago for Sanatana Dharma. So we ask you as Yatha Shakti. We don't ask you as 1/3 of your salary, but Yatha Shakti, as much as you can afford, thinking well what it is going to contribute for, and I hope you trust us with your contribution. We ask you to make some contributions in the Aarti as it passes on. So, Gita ji? Yeah.
Arti will be at the back of the hall on both sides. So when you are going, you can make your offering and you take the blessing of the Deepa, so right at the back.
We'll first have the Dwaj Avarohan. Please kindly take your seats. So we're now coming to the end of today's program. On behalf of the Varsha Pratipada Sansad, the Parliament of the Hindu New Year, we wish to thank all of you, our honored and distinguished guests, our senators, and all of the many sevaks who made this event possible. So much goes into making an event like this possible every year, whether it be a virtual presentation or an in-person presentation. Our sincere and heartfelt thanks to the Hindu Prachar Kendra, to Gita ji and Sri Ravi ji for their support and guidance during this program, as well as making this Heritage Center available for this auspicious occasion. Our wonderful tech team of Ish ji, Pravesh ji, Bhavani ji, Shivana ji, we thank you dearly. It has made this entire program run very, very smoothly. It's the first time we're including a virtual component, and I think we did very, very well. Yes. And finally, our heartfelt pranams at the feet of our Marg Darshak, Puja Swami PrakashanandaJi. His generosity and divine wisdom are unparalleled. Without a vision forward, the path cannot be taken. Thank you, Swamiji. Varsha Pratipada Sansad is not a single event, but rather a continued Hindu vision and offering of service to our nation and the world at large. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. May we all learn and serve together as one family and bring the infinite riches of the wisdom and love embedded in our Sanatana Dharma to all. I'll call on Sri Ravi Bharati ji to do our closing prayer.
Let us all kindly stand as we assume an attitude of prayer with the hands, the head, and the heart and devotion to the divine. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. बोलिए श्री सत सनातन धर्म की अपने आसन पर बैठ जाइए. प्लीज बी सीटेड.
Har Har Mahadev. We have the tradition of always doing Jaikar to our beloved nation here at the Kendra, so I think Rabiji is doing it so that we don't forget. And just simple instructions now. There is no eating here, well, except for Swamiji and a couple of persons at the back. The lunch is takeaway for obvious reasons. Please keep your masks on, and we often advise people when you're coming in, you wash your hands. Even when you are leaving, it might also be quite safe and a good practice to wash your hands before you get back into your vehicles. So just a reminder, the arti will be at the back for whatever you wish to make for the offering. Your bhojan will be collected right at the back inside of here also. Because we are in an active construction site, we don't have kitchen and dining facilities as yet as well. And just a reminder, if you do need to use the washroom, not to my left, it's unsafe on that side. You need to walk around this way and to the back of the building. So this is the end of our program for Varsha Pratipada Sansad 2022. And Swamiji, VPS will be sending you the bill for free advertisement for Chinmaya Vidyalaya. Yes, so wonderful. And it's been a joy to have all of you here with us, and we appreciate your comments. Our upgrade has been very long in the making, and it's wonderful that we can still get together like this safely. And of course, tomorrow, 108, the last night of the Ramayana Yagya. So again, Chinmaya Mission, Swamiji will be with us for the closing night of that mammoth undertaking. And you are invited. We are trying to manage the numbers. I think, Swamiji, we might have to put some people out to the side here. We'll see how we'll manage to be as safe as possible. Thank you all for being here. Return safely to your homes. And before closing, I want to say a big thank you to Vaniji. Vaniji does a lot of work behind the scenes, and she comes and she says thank you to everyone. She can't buff me, so she really is that glue that holds everything together. Namaskar, everyone. Oh, yes, well, we're still on air? Are we still on? Oh, my goodness. Okay, yes, so those of us have to follow the Sunday satsang tradition. Those of you who are viewing us virtually from wherever in the world you have joined us, and even here locally, thank you for joining us, and it's been a pleasure to have all of you. Namaskar.